This is a Mamar of the Rebbi on Purim. Hayav inish Lebesumei b'Puria. That man is Hayav on Purim to Lebesumei. Lebesumei is to become smelly, nice smells, perfume. Rashi says to drink wine, get drunk. Ad lo yada, until he doesn't know the difference between the Aruch Haman to the Baruch Mordechai. So that's in Chazal. It's in Megillah, the Gemara of Megillah. The Gufa Muchach, that the Indian of Purim is the Aruch Haman and Baruch Mordechai. So the whole point of Purim is the cursedness of Haman and the blessedness of Mordechai, because the whole point of we're Chayav, we have a Chiyuv on Purim in order to not know the difference. Elish, but Indian ze yesh gam makom the darga shesam lo yada ben Aruch Haman leBaruch Mordechai. But there's a level that then you don't know the difference between them, and Makom anyway. Also there, we have the Indian of the Aruch Haman and Baruch Mordechai, even in the level where you don't know the difference. And that's also proven from many places of Purim, as we find connected to Achashverosh, that the HaKadosh Baruch Hu she'achris reisha shelo. So Achashverosh here is Achashverosh, and the Reishis and the Achris at the end and the beginning of the Kodesh Baruch Hu, as it's written in to do the Rutzon of Ish Va'ish. That it's referring to Mordechai and Haman. And that is that they will be able to be also the Rutzon of Haman, Chas v'Chalila. So when we have Rutzon Ish Va'ish, Ish is Mordechai, Ish is Haman. So therefore there's this Rutzon of Haman coming through. Nevertheless, for the Jews, there was Erev V'Simcha V'Sosan V'Ikar. So even though you have the Ratzon of Haman, then you have the Yehudim, they had light and Simcha. And it was Nehapochu, it was flipped over. But similarly, we find in the beginning of the Gezeres of Haman, as is written, and he said to him, Zeresh Ishta, his wife said to him and all his loved ones, that he should make this Eitz Kavua, this hangman, 50 amos high, and he should hang Mordechai on it. And after that, in the falling of Haman, it's written, and Chorvono said, look, we have this hangman, this high tree, this high piece of wood. Asher asa Haman leMordechai. He made it for Mordechai. It's 50 amos high. And then they didn't hang Mordechai, they hanged Haman on the tree, because he prepared it for Mordechai. Further, we see that in the two matters, in the machshavas of Haman, so that his original thoughts on how he fell, it is felt mukdash. It's emphasized that the tree was 50 amos tall, davka. Similarly, we see in the Tachlis, in the end of the manor, and it's written, Hine is the house of Haman I gave to Esther. And we put Esther and Mordechai in the house of Haman, and that is that the base that's able to be in the oifen of base Haman. So the house that was Haman, so it was going to be Haman's house, and even though it was the house of Haman, this house was given over to Mordechai. So you have to understand this matter, that it's possible to be that Mordechai and Haman were equal. Em shaveh. At the lo yada, you don't even know the difference between the cursedness of Haman and the blessedness of Mordechai. And davka b'mokum zeh, only once you find this point, this area, this mokum, where Haman and Mordechai are equal, there you pull in the Indian of Simchas Purim. Only there you're going to find the Simcha of Purim. And if you're in love with Mordechai and you hate Haman, and Haman has no ability to be on the same level of Mordechai, you're not going to reach the Simchas of Purim. 2. We'll understand this with a Hakdama, with an introduction to the matter, that through the Betala, the cancelling of the Machshava of Haman, as we say in the Midrash, on the Pasuk, that it will make a tree that's 50 amos tall. So it says, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it won't be this tree, because already Abraham came before him, and he said, I will relax and lean under this tree. And also by Moshe it says that he showed him the tree. V'hinei, Mashikosu by Abraham, when it says by Abraham that he's under the tree, with the Hey Hayedua, Takat Ha'etz, it's the tree. It says in the Midrash that is the known tree, that on it is said, Vayata Eshel b'Beersheva. So it says later on in Bereshis, talking about Abraham, that he planted an Eshel. An Eshel has different meanings of what this word is. The Eitzah, this tree, was also by Moshe in the Midbar, as it says in the Midrash, that Yaakov planted with him, or he took with him, these cedars from the Eshel that Abraham planted, the old man in Beersheba. And they brought this. So this is the same tree that Abraham had, and he planted it in Beersheba, and then Yaakov took it down with him to Mitzrayim, and the children of Israel took it with them when they went into the Midbar. And from that was the Bria Chaticho and Betocha Karoshim. So in the middle of the making of the Mikdash, the Mishkan, there's a in the middle of all the planks is three sides of the Mishkan, and let's even get a picture here. So here we have a picture of the Mishkan. So you have the three walls, 1, 2, 3. On the outside, you had a pole at the top. You have hooks here, and you put the pole through here. You put the pole at the bottom, and then on the other sides as well. That's all on the outside. Now you had going through the middle here, all the way in the middle here, because you can't see it because it's going through the middle, down the side here, and then going through all the middle here. That's called the Bria Chaticho. Now it was a straight piece of wood, and you just put it in here, and you just keep on pushing and pushing. And when it hits here, it just turns, and you keep on pushing straight, and then it turns and it goes around. And then when you pull it out, it just comes out like that, and it's all one straight piece of wood. So it was this briach, all three sides, as he just shown us. It says in the Targum that it was nichavke anche, was like a snake. It was bending like a snake. And through that, it was bottled in the Nachash HaKadmoni. So through this Briach HaTichon, and this is through the eights, all of a sudden we're just mevatling the original Nachash. Nachash Briach. That is also the Inyan of Haman. So now we're seeing that we're bottling through this eights, we're bottling Haman, which is the original Nachash. And that's upon him said, from the Sherosh, from the root of the Nachash, came out the Tzefa, which would be the viper type of snake. V'hainush, that the tree of Abraham, it affected the bittel of the tree of Haman. And not only the bittel stam, that there wouldn't be the tree. It's not we're cancelling out the tree. More than this, that the bittel will be in a matter of ischavcha. So ischavcha is the way that you flip it over, so that your taiva for food becomes a taiva for mitzvahs. That you only want the food when it's a mitzvah manner of birur, or your taivas for women becomes a taiva for mitzvah. The same taiva becomes a mitzvah that was the taiva for avera has become the taiva for mitzvah. So here, the tree that was the representation of evil, it becomes a representation of good. So we're not just killing evil; we're turning evil into good. That the yitlo et Haman, because we're using the tree itself that we're now hanging Haman on the same tree. So we're turning the tree. So he prepared it for Mordechai, but then so if Haman represents evil and Mordechai represents good, so the evil tries to kill good on it, but evil is killed on it. So it's this chavcha, it's completely flipped over. V'hine, this matter of the eights of Abraham, that it affects the bittel of the tree of Haman. Shemo Morav, his name is teaching on it. It's called in the Shem of Eshel, because it's called an Eshel. That's what Abraham planted. Because that is the words of without that they're not. It's not ragel. It's not a usual word, and specifically that is called la'achaz b'shem eitz. So after this, it's called a tree, and he went under the tree, but it's still the beginning. When he's planting it, it's called an eshel. And therefore we see in the Midrash of Chazal many drushes to explain what is this eshel. Because if the kavana is pshuto, then it should have said that he planted a tree. Since we see that it's called a tree later, therefore he planted a tree at the beginning. So it's called an eshel. So the fact that he said he planted an eshel, therefore the Torah is telling us that this is for a drasha, and he didn't say tree. One of the Perushim is that the Eshel is Rashi Tevos. It's Aleph Shin Lamed. That is, that every letter in the Tevos, in the word of Eshel, Aleph Shin Lamed, that is the Iker that is explained in the essence of the tree, as we will explain. To Gimel. The Yishtava Er Techila, we have to first explain. Klolos HaMahos eights to Abraham. What's going on with this eights of Abraham? Because it says in the Midrash that when HaKadosh Baruch Hu gave to Abraham Avinu the land, he didn't give it Eila as it is. As it says, Kom hitalech ba'aretz l'ravcha ki lecha etnena. I will give you the land as it is. Amad Abraham. and he made hishbicha, that he made it better. As it says, that he planted a tree in Beersheba, and this inyan is that, behold, the land is Kai al Gan Eden. So God giving Abraham the land is giving him Gan Eden. Because that's what it says, Chazal, Ol Yisrael Yeshnem Chelek L'Lamaba, because he's giving this is what he's giving to Abraham. And it says, V'imcha kolam tzadikim le'olam yershu aretz, because the whole people of Israel, they are tzadikim, and they will yoresh the land, they will inherit the land. So that's the Gan Eden, that's called Aretz. Even in the Olam Haba, there's two explanations, that if it's referring to Gan Eden or on Techiyas HaMeisim, so when you have the time of reward, which is Gan Eden, where you get pleasure, and then you have the time of relationship, which is the Yimot Mashiach, the times of Mashiach, and the bringing back of the Neshama into the Guf in a place of revelation of God. And according to the Mashmos of the explanation of the Poshut, is referring to Techiyas HaMeisim. Nevertheless, the connection to the land, that on it says to Abraham, come, go and walk the land, we find explicitly that this refers to Gan Eden. So really the Aretz would make more sense that it's referring to the Techiyas HaMeisim part of Olam Haba, but we see explicitly it's referring to Gan Eden, as it says in the Midrash. On the Pasuk, Ki God, Hashem is your God, He brought you to the Eretz Tova Rachva. So that's the land that it says to Abraham, go and walk it. To Lerot Shochan, you'll see the table that it is prepared in Gan Eden, as it says, I will go before Hashem in the land of the living. And on there it said that through the acts and the work of Abraham, and he planted a tree in Beersheba, then he hishbiach, he improved Gan Eden. So through this act of planting the tree, he's improving Gan Eden. We see that the Aretz, he was mashbiach, he was improving it through the eitz, and this is the eitz, he was improving Gan Eden. So really this is the giving of Gan Eden. And this inyan hashbach of Gan Eden is added to the greatness of Gan Eden from itself. So without improving Gan Eden is a great place. But now he's improving Gan Eden. And we'll understand from what it said. So it says to Adam and Chava, he planted Adam in the Gan Eden in order to work it and to keep it. And many explain that as the mitzvah says, the mitzvah lo taseh. Just like through the avoda in Gan Kibeshuto, then you improve it. So the avoda Kibeshuto would be that you prune the trees and you de-weed it and you plant nice things and you make nice things in your garden. Similarly, through the avodas of man, then also you improve Gan Eden more than you would from itself. So as you enter Gan Eden, you go in and improve it. And this inyan, as we said in the Amram, that's before this, on the Yesod of the Targum and the Midrashim Chazal, to work it is the 248 mitzvahs asay, and to keep it is the 365 mitzvahs lot asay. So again, shomer is that you keep it as it is, you don't break anything, so therefore it's the lav, so don't murder, so don't eat treif, so that you're breaking stuff when you do it. So shomer, to keep it is the lot asay, and then to work it will be to improve it, which is to act on it. So that's the act of mitzvahs. Through that, the mitzvahs assays and lot assays, then you draw down, you bring the Gan Eden, the inyan of schar mitzvahs shehu mitzvahs atzma. So you bring into the Gan Eden the mitzvah. So what's the schar of the mitzvah? The reward for mitzvah is a mitzvah, it's the mitzvah itself. So therefore you bring into the Gan Eden the work itself. So as you improve it, you bring in the schar, the more schar, which is that mitzvah, into the Gan. And behold, the inyan of the mitzvah is lamala ifilami lamaba. So we already said that Olam Haba broken up into two. You have Gan Eden and you have the Techiyas HaMeisim, but the mitzvah itself is coming directly from God Himself. So therefore, it's beyond it all. So you're bringing in, as you're bringing the mitzvah into Gan Eden, you're bringing into Gan Eden something that's completely beyond it. Because Koilel Gan Eden, Olam Haba Shalamala mi Gan Eden. Because Gan Eden and Olam Haba is above the Gan Eden, and the Koleres Inyan Bezeh. So this inyan, to the generality, is that results. Chazal say, maybe you'll say that hu Gan, hu Eden. You'll say they're two different places. Samad Lamar v'Nahar Yotze mi Eden. So the river comes out of Eden to Lahashkot es Gan. So Hu Gan, Hu Eden is the same place. No, it's two different places because the river comes out of Eden to water the Gan. Then that's a pasuk from Bereshis. So Gan Lachud ve'Eden Lachud, they're separate places. V'ad kedei kach hem Lachud, even though they're alone, shebechinas Eden atzmo einen nimshach b'Hagan, that the Eden itself isn't drawn into the Gan because it comes out of Eden and goes into the Gan. So the Eden is not in the Gan, and it's just the river that comes out from Eden to water the Gan, and that the river that comes out from Eden in its kayach is only to water the Gan, so it's only its potential, but the Gan remains by itself, bifnei atzmo. V'hashpiach shenaseh, and then the improvements that's done through the avoda and to keep it, that is that you bring down the bechinas of Eden b'Hagan. So Eden stays where it is, and the Gan stays where it is, and this river comes out from Eden and into Gan, and there's this level of hashpiach of the Gan from Eden. But what the mitzvah does, it actually brings Eden itself into Gan. So what is Gan Eden? It's when Eden comes into the Gan, as opposed to in the creation you have Eden separately and Gan separately, where there's just this river that comes out and it waters it. So the mitzvah of the avodah that brings the Eden into the Gan, and the inyan in the spheros, that is, that the Indian of the Gan is referring to the Klaus of spheros HaMalchus. That Gan is Malchus, and Nahar, that's the bechinas of Bina, that's called Nahar. Mia Denaini. And the Eden is referring to the bechinas of Keter. So the Eden is Keter, which is the highest point, and then you have the Gan, which is Malchus, which is the lowest point. So the Keter is flowing into the Malchus, and also the Bechinas of Chachma, and in both of them, that is the Panemius that's in them, because that is the parish of the name Eden, that it's Meir, it's teaching on the inyan of Hitanok, of pleasure. The pleasure is coming from these spheres. And that is the chiluk between Eden and the Gan, because the Bechinas of Eden, as it says, that I will not see a God. Masha Enken Gan, what's not true for the Gan, that's the Mokum, that's the place that in is Yitzir Sadam, that's where the formation of man is. So that you can't have, so that Eden being Keter is beyond the separation of man, whereas the Gan is where man is having his way and that's his place. Amnam Schar HaNeshamas Latid, the reward for the Neshamas, as in the future level, that will be in the Bechinis of Gan. So if you're Zoicha, if you merit this, then you go to the level of Eden. And that's for the Neshamas. And that is that the Schar of the future will come through our deeds and the Avoda. Again, it's each person individually as our Avoda and our Maisa, the Hemshech of 6,000 years of this world, that is the Avoda and the keeping of it. Hayinu sheba hagan lachud mamshichin es ha'inyan, so that the Gan itself will draw down the inyan of schar mitzvah shehi mitzvah atzma. It will bring the mitzvah itself into the Gan, because that is the desire and the rotzon elyon that is called in the name of Eden. So Eden, the rotzon is that the mitzvah, that the part of the keter of Eden of the mitzvah will flow into itself, will be in the Gan. As by doing the mitzvah, that's the schar mitzvah being the mitzvah, that you bring that rotzon of God that's in Keter and bring it into Malchus. That rotzon that's in that part of God that's in that mitzvah, that's in Eden, will come into the Gan. And that is through planting the Eshel in Beersheva. Therefore he, Heshpiach Avraham es ha'aretz, he's improving the land, because that is the Hamshacha, that is the Shehu Inyan, that is a matter of bringing the Bechinas of Eden into the Gan, that is done through Maisa Adam in the Inyan of service and keeping. And the specifications of the Avoda in this are Remez. In the three letters, it's hinted to Aleph, Shin, Lamed. They are the words in the letter Eshel, as later on she goes in to explain Eshel. So this matter that the letter Aleph is understood that it's on the addition of the Klalas of Inyan Ha'aretz V'Ha'olam, because in the creation of the world, it is coming with the Beit. So as it's written, Bereshis bara, so the base starts the creation, and above this creation is the inyan of the Aleph. So the Aleph comes before the Bet, and the world begins with Bet, so therefore Aleph is above the creation. And it says that the Midrash, it's 26 generations for the Aleph is called the Teger Lefnei HaKadosh Baruch Hu. So that the Aleph is arguing with Hashem, I am the first of the letters, and you didn't create the worlds with me. And Hashem said to him, tomorrow I will come to give the Torah from Sinai, and I will open it with the Aleph, as it says, Anoichi, Havaya Lokecha. So the Aleph, which is beyond creation, is then referring to God himself, whereas Bereshis bara is referring to the physical world, and God himself is above it. So therefore the Torah, which is above creation, the Torah, the Ten Commandments, starts with the Aleph, but the story about the world starts with a Bet. However, we need to understand what is the reason that Matan Torah, as you're able to begin with the Aleph, and the creation of the world wasn't able to begin with the Aleph. And more than this, we need to understand because the Torah was not given to angels, but below here in this world specifically, and as it says that Havaya came down to Har Sinai. So that in this level of God, so it's coming down that we're connecting to this level of God, and that is the Matan Torah was not in the manner where the brings up the lower to above, but the point of the Torah was where it comes down from above below. So again, there's two ways to kind of meet holiness or meet kedusha, that you go up into Shemayim, or Shemayim comes down to you. So Matan Torah is a way of Shemayim coming down to you. So ba'olam davka, so that davka, the rotzen of God and the yudke vavke, come down into this world. That's Matan Torah, v'keven. And since that in the creation of the world, it was not able to be the inyan of Aleph, it's not understood how, by Matan Torah, you were able to bring this Aleph into the world. And if it's possible to be that you can bring down the Aleph in the world, if so, he was able to have this the drawing down of the Aleph also at the beginning of creation of the world. Specifically, in what Chazal say, what is written, it's the extra A. That's not Yom Shishi, it's Yom Hashishi. The extra A. Why do I need it? To teach you that Hashem made a Tanai, he made a condition with the creation of the world. And he said to them, if the Jews receive the Torah, then the world will stay. So the Yom Hashishi is the sixth day of Sivan, which is the Nisin of the Torah. So that is that Anoichi Havaya Lokecha. So again, this is all referring to the Atzmus of God. You have the Havaya, and Anoichi is the Etzem, the central point of God. And that's by Matan Torah. That is the Kiyum of the Ma'aseh Bereshis. So Mekomakim, nevertheless, it was B'riyas Ha'olam B'beis Davka. So since you have this Kiyum, the Anoichi, which is the Aleph, which is the God coming down here, that was just a Kiyum of the creation of the world. That was started with a Bet. So Varak, only this was there able to be added and bring down the Aleph in this world that was created with a Bet. And we understand through what we know, that all the names in the Lashon HaKodesh are not names Haskaimim. It's not that just people agree that this is what the word is. We don't come to a discussion about it and just name something. But these are the names they teach on the inyan, what itself, and the things that are called in this name. So the name that something has refers to its essence, and not just a name that people have come up with, like Coca-Cola has cocaine in it, but Pepsi, it's just a name. V'chein hu b'Hashem, and that's also with the name, with the Aleph, that this is Moira and the Inyan. And from this we'll understand why it was able to be the creation of the world that wasn't able to be the creation of the world with an Aleph. And Matan Torah was with an Aleph, Davka. And with the manner that the Aleph will be drawn into the world, Davka. So that the whole point of the Torah is that the Aleph comes into the world, so that the things that are higher are coming down into the world, Davka. So 5, explaining this manner. that the Aleph is in the lashon of Aluf, Chachma, Aluf, Bina. It's like the prince of Chachma and the prince of understanding. And also, further than this, it says in Sifri Kabbalah, the Aleph is the letter of Pella, a wonderment. It's above Chachma and Bina. And the Indians, so again, Chachma and Bina can understand things, and the Pella is something that's beyond Chachma and Bina. So the seven wonders of the world, or the pyramids, how were the pyramids built? I don't know. You have all your plans and how this, I don't know how they did it, because it's above Chachma and Bina. So that's the Pella is like the Kayach that goes beyond Chachma and Bina. And this, a matter is, Remes is hinted to us in the Lashon of Alufa Chachma, Alufa Bina, because it's explained in Kabbalah and Chassidus that the parish of Alufa Chachma, Alufa Bina, it is that the Melamdim es Chachma, V'esa Bina, that it teaches Chachma and Bina. Because that's the seichel, and through that you will bring down the levels that's above from the seichel. Because that is the Indian of Elef Oisius Pella. So that the Elef is the words of Pella, it's coming beyond Chachma and Bina, and therefore draws down into Chachma and Bina. So therefore you're drawing down into Aleph is showing, you're drawing down into the Chachma and the Bina, and that's the Elef Chachma, Elef Bina, that it's beyond Chachma and Bina and then comes into it. Now, even though it's called in the Shem Pella, and nevertheless, it's not the Inyan that is not Kesher, it has no connection with Chachma Bina Klal, but it's the matter that is brought down from it to be Alufa Chachma, Alufa Bina, that the Pella is a mashpia on your Chachma and a mashpia on your Bina. So it's understood that just like the man, the lower man, that he has Chachma and Bina, that's the Inyan of Seichel. So the Tam V'das, and then there it begins the Seder V'shtalshalus. So you start off at the high point and it comes down. And Yeshba Inyan, that's above the Chachma and Bina, because coming together, it's the Inyan of Ratzon. And in Ratzon itself, there's two types: the Chitzonius Ratzon and the Panemius Ratzon. So again, when you talk about does somebody have free choice, and that if somebody asks you if you want an apple before you even think about it, your neurons are firing. So people say there's no free choice, but there's two types of Ratzon. There's a Ratzon Chitzoni and there's a Ratzon Panemi. So the Ratzon Chitzoni will be defined by your life that you've had up to this point. And therefore, if you have perfect information about you, you can probably say what choice you're going to make. But there's a Panemi Ratzon, and that Panemi Ratzon is not defined by the life you've lived. And the Chatzinas Ratzon is a Ratzon Stam. That is, in the Oifen, that ain't tam la Ratzon. There's no reason behind the Ratzon. Ki im sakachu Ratzon, that's what you want. Panimis Ratzon, who a nikra b'shem chayfetz, it's desire. So again, that's just what you want. So you want vanilla milkshake rather than a strawberry milkshake, because when you were 5, you had a really good one, and you've been chasing that flavor and that taste and that coolness ever since. And now, anytime that someone offers you, you're just looking for that. So that's damn, why do you want it? That's why I want it. But really, I mean, there is a reason behind it, because your nurture. But that's just damn rotten. But the panemius is chayfetz. It's actually what you desire. You don't actually desire vanilla milkshakes. It's just something for something else, and it'll make you happy for now because it'll distract you. But your actual inner rotzen is your chayfetz, is what you desire, and that is that there is a tam, a kamusla rotzen. So there's like a hidden reason that's fitting into your rotzen, into your desires, but it's not that it's a reason of chachma and bina that's below the rotzen, but right, it's a reason. So again, a rotzen below the rotzen, when you have a tam below the rotzen, so therefore you can predict what that choice is going to be, because it's below the rotzen. But if the reason from the miloshin tam, so you have tam is from tamo. What's the reason from? To taste it, v'roi ki tov. You see it because it's good. That the inyan of oineg, geschmack. That is she'inze kesvaras ha'olam. It's not how people understand this. That since there's a tam kamus, it's like a hidden flavor of the rotzon. That is fitting that it is below the madrega of the rotzon, because it doesn't have any tam whatsoever. Adarabba, no, it's the opposite. That davka, the rotzon that has the tam, that has a hidden reason, that this, it's not a tam seichli. So why is it hidden? Because you can't touch into it with your Chochmah and Bina. You can't understand it. It goes beyond that. It's coming from a higher place. So the time is connected with the inyan of Tanog. It's the inyan of Geshmak, or the inyan of pleasure. Hareze Pnimis Rotzen. That is the Pnimis Rotzen. Again, the ultimate Tanog, the ultimate pleasure. And this is the Eden, but that's the desire to be with God. The ultimate Ratzon and pleasure is God, and that's what you're looking for. That is your Pnimis Ratzon. Uba emes morchrach, you have to say the inyan is in all Ratzon. Gamba Ratzon shenira she'ein lo tam klal. Even in the Ratzon where it appears you have has no reason at all. So why are you picking vanilla milkshakes? Because you want God. And the proof of this is from two places. So the first is that since that is the Ratzon of man, that's what he wants, that the inyan of man is teaching on the inyan of Seichel. Shtalshlus for Dargas. So that whatever you do is coming already through a chain, a period of going down the steps and going up the steps. So anything that you do is rooted at a much higher level and power. Because behechrach leimer, you have to say that all the inyan of Adam is also the inyan that are above the koiches of Panimi. In the level of lo Adam sheba Adam, ine gam hem ba'ofen shel ishtalshlus. So it's not the man in the man, but even the levels of ishtalshlus. Rather, that there's not in the seder of ishtalshlus that comes in drawing down echad im hakoiches of Panimius shehishtalsum mikoch hachachma kanal. So powers that come to you that go beyond Ishtalshalis and that go beyond Chachma and Seichel, they still come down to you from those higher places through a level of Ishtalshalis, but it's not the Seder of Ishtalshalis that comes in the normal manner. In the second way, is what we see with our senses, that every manner of Ratzon is also the Ratzon that appears that doesn't have any time whatsoever. So every Ratzon has also a Ratzon that doesn't have any lo tam sechli vefilu lo tam va'oinek. So you're doing something, it doesn't make any sense why you're doing it, and you're not even getting any pleasure out of it, because it draws down as time goes on. You're able to be a change, and even it's able to be, you change it and you flip it over, and seemingly it's not understood. The sense that is not an inyan of Panimi, that is Mugvo Bekli. It's constrained in the vessel because it isn't an inyan that is connected to the Seichel. And so again, you have this Ratzon, and it doesn't have, so since it's not connected to Seichel, and therefore it's not restrained, okay? So why does it have a shinoi, and even to be changed? Why can that be? So how can you change your Ratzon? That one day you want the suit in this size, and you say, no, it's too big, I want that one, I want this color, and then you change your mind. But the inyan is that also the Ratzon, to be the Ratzon of man, that it has to be in a manner of levels. It has to be a darga, and it has flavor, it has reason, but that it's in a manner of a hidden flavor, a hidden time, a hidden reason. And since that it has a hidden flavor, then as time goes on, is able that the hidden flavor will be drawn into revelation. And once this is drawn into revelation, then it will have on the kushis seichelim lepol bo shinois. You're able to have through the seichel to have a shinoi, until it's even to change that rotten into something completely differently. And Afalpi can't even, with all this, stavka the inyan, that it's the ikr of the rotzen, the penimius, that is becoming one with the koyach of the tanuk. So that the ikr of your rotzen becomes one with the koyach of your pleasure. So there's like a revelation of this hidden rotzen and this hidden tam, this hidden reasoning, and it aligns with tanuk as it comes more into revelation. And similarly by avoda, because the tachlis of avoda is to be lemala mitam b'das. So it's got no reason what you're doing it. You're not doing it for a reward. You're not doing it for this. Why are you doing it? That's what God wants. This is what I'm doing. It's not in a matter that is not shayach to panemius, that you're avoda that goes beyond tam b'das. It's not that it's not connected to you whatsoever, but that if it will be above tam b'das, then it has a hidden reason, because that's the inyan of oineg. And that's the geshmak, and that is that it needs to come into the hergish panimi, that you feel it. It needs to come into feeling, because how can you have Geschmack and Eineg only once you have that panemius feeling and you feel it. So you're doing the Iker Avoda, which is completely beyond reason and completely beyond flavor and Geschmack, but it still comes into it. And it's understood as just like it is in a level below. So there's able to be Mamad, Matzav, a place that, and the Nigva Afus. So the thief, at the opening of the tunnel he dug, he calls out to Hashem. So again, this thief is about to do a sin, but he's calling out to Hashem. So he's going against God's Ratzon, yet him and God are best buddies. How's this working? That is because he has an Emunah Pshuta. But this it's not connected to him with the Inyanim of Seichel. So why Seichel doesn't make any sense, but he still has that connection to God. Therefore, everything I do is for God. Seichel doesn't make any sense whatsoever. A disconnect between Seichel and your religion, a common thing. And therefore, you're able to be in this manner of that. I'm at the opening of the Machteres, and right there, I'm about to do the sin, and I'm calling out to God, keep me safe while I do this Aveira. So you see that there's this rotzen that goes, that's like a hidden tam. That hidden tam comes into your life in a revealed way because you're crying out to God, but it's not in a seichel manner, it's beyond the seichel. The seder of the avodah, according to the Torah, is that you need to bring down the emunah into the panemius, and through this, it will remove the inyan of oifen machteres. So that this idea, so the afum machteres, the ganav, at the place, it's again the separation between seichel and emunah. There's no connection between them. So, but the avoda brings in the emuna into the panemius and brings the emuna and the seichel together. In the levels, on the higher levels, that is the avoda, as it is above from tam das, from the level of koyach harotzon, then it gives the manner of ritzua. So ritzua is the drive, the run, the running towards Shemayim, running towards God. Until the ritzua itself, it doesn't have on the rotzon of tikkun, the ritzua of tikkun. But it also the Ritzul that above completely than the manners of the Kalim and the manners of restriction. Because then it's called the Ritzul of Tohu. It's called the desires of Tohu, as it is in Kedusha, in the Tikkun Gufa. So with the world of Tikkun, the world of Tohu, Yitzchak, Yaakov is the world of Tikkun, also Yitzchak. Esav is from the world of Tohu. There's the or is greater than the kli in tohu, and tikkun, the kli is greater than the or. So that the roitza of tohu, you're going out of your kalim, but you want to bring the or into the kalim, and that's the ritzua of tikkun. FOP can, even so, there needs to be the avoda not as it is by Ben Izai, shehatzis umeitz, that he saw and died of when the people went into the pardes, that he saw into the levels beyond the seichel, and then he just died. It overpowered him. Alav, it says to him, Yakar, that he's treasured in the eyes of Hashem, that died in his chesed, in his chesidus. And as we see by the two children of Aaron, so the Nadav and Avihu, that by them the inyan of Devekas for Hashem, and that's the inyan of Roitza, that they knew that they were going to die, and then Neshamas just wanted to be one with God, and they didn't want, so the shoiv would have been, yeah, your Neshama wants to be one with God, but stay in the world and do mitzvahs. So running into to separate into the Kodesh Kedoshim, that's the Ritzu. What again? Where else is it to run? If you want to run to God, you run into the Kodesh Kedoshim. So you're running in there, and you just want to be with God. God doesn't. The shoiv is that you stay where you are and do your mitzvahs. That's the ikaratzin of Hashem. But your rotza is that, well, I want God. I don't want to wait. I just want it now. And you run in there, and then that's your. So then the sin of Nadav and Avihu was because they wanted God too much. But often that through Shali Dezeh, that they die, so that the Rotzoi came to a level of dying, because the Rotzoi, that is not according to the Rotzoi that it needs to be from the side of the Rotzon Shalamala. So God doesn't want that, because He wants you to stay here and do mitzvahs. Mitzad Kavana Ha'alyona. But that's the Rotzoi that needs to be according as it is by Rebbi Akiva. So this is the Rotzoi we're looking for, that came into the Pardes in Shalom, and he came out in Shalom. That is, that even though that is by him the Rotzoi, Hayoter Elyon, it's even higher than the Midah and the levels of constrainment and above any inyan of Kalim, until he's called B'Shem Rotzoi de Tohu, So that again, that Rotzav Tohu was because the ore is outside the kelim. There's no kelim that can hold it. It was the beginning of his avodah in the Indian of Rotzoi, but Oifen Shenichnas B'Shalom. So it says by Rebbi Kiva, Nichnas B'Shalom v'Yotzev B'Shalom. So also after that, he was able to Yotzev B'Shalom. Because why does it say Nichnas B'Shalom v'Yotzev B'Shalom? I'm just care about his Yotzev. And I said, no, why did he come out in Shalom? Because he's Nichnas B'Shalom, and therefore he goes in with the Techidus of his avodah, with the Rotzo, his desire, in order to do God's will, and therefore he comes out in Shalom and doesn't lose his neshama to the desire to go to Shemayim. And that's the Indian of Shov. And the Maisa and the Torah's mitzvahs below. So Shov again is doing it here. God wants the dira b'tachtonim. I want to dance around in Gan Eden. So we have complete competing rotzons. And God wants you to dance around with him in Gan Eden. However, he has a bigger rotzon to have a dira b'tachtonim. Again, the Torah was given, the Aleph came down here. And the tam adavar, the reason for this is because that the rotzah is in that manner of there's tam for the rotzon, that the rotzah comes in, that there is a tam, in that it's just a tam that's hidden. That is that even that the tam and the pleasure is in the manner of helem, and it's hidden. Mikom, it's felt in the panemius. Again, you'll even think that you feel it, you get it. A guy tells you to do something and you're like, this is wrong. A guy tells you that, Judaism is all about this, and you're like, you just know it's wrong or you just know it's right. Because you have that panemius, you feel it in the panemius. It's above seichel, it's above this, because you're rotzen for that connection to God. Bang, it meets at that point. Ve'inyan zeh poil shelo yisur, that it will not remove from the amitis and the kavana of the highest kavana, that there it's done at hakanisa b'shalom, because you enter in shalom, and there through that you'll be able to yotzev b'shalom. So come down here, and with the rotzon you'll be doing mitzvahs. That's God's rotzon. That's the nechnas b'shalom, and that's the Indian of the Aleph, because that is the letters of Pella. It goes above the seichel, and nevertheless it is not in the Indian of Pella that is not shayach to the kachas panimis at all of the chachma and bina. So even though it's above Chachma and Bina, it's able to still be mashpia on Chachma and Bina, because it's not so far beyond. If it's just a question, you're not able to give you a applied mathematics question in Russian. It's just completely beyond. There's nothing to do. But this is shaykh to Chachma and Bina, therefore it can come into Chachma and Bina. In that the Indian of the Pella is drawn down to be the alufa Chachma alufa Bina. So it's like the mashpia. And that's, as you say, that even in the level that's higher in the highest levels of Kedusha, it's in the Indian of the Rotz and Atzmo, and it's not a Tam Komos, Tam V'oineg. It's able to remove the mitzvahs of the Kavana. And from there, we understand that when it is brought down into the lower levels, it's able to be to Shipul Midregos Gamri, completely, so you can fall from your level completely until Ikri miss. It's called dead. And so if you're working on the higher levels of Rotzen that is not revealed, therefore it has no Hashpah in you, so it's not it's the Rotzen Atzmo, so it's kind of hidden from you. It doesn't come into the Panimi, so therefore it can be within you as dead, because it doesn't come down into your Hashpah, it doesn't come into your world. And therefore, it has to be that it'll be the rotzon in the manner that you will feel it. You will feel the Inyan, because if you don't feel it, so therefore it can get disconnected from you. And then it has the tam, has the flavor, and the oineg, and the geschmack, and the panimis rotzon. But that is the Inyan of Aleph, that the Pella is the oifen, that it is connected in the chachma and bina. Has to come in, has to be connected, even though it's coming from the highest source. It still has to have a connection to you. And this Indian is poil, that also in the Chitzoni is the Ratzon, it will not be going from the Kavana. And that is that even if, according to Fisha, for a short period of time, it's hidden from you, that he doesn't feel this. Nevertheless, even that the most of his avoda, the Klaus avoda, that is an oifen of Ha'amor, that is a poil also in the Chitzoni Ratzon. So that it comes in that most of your avoda is coming through, or generally your avoda has this coming down into the Ratzon. So most of your avoda has the level of the Ratzon coming into it, even though if some areas don't. Raise a poil gam, it's also so you will get the Chitzoni Ratzon, so that your Panimi Ratzon comes into your outside Ratzon. So all of a sudden you're wanting vanilla milkshakes because you want God, because it's the revelation of your Panimius Ratzon into your Chitzoni Ratzon. And it won't be Natia from your avoda. And there that we find that when there is an oifen of the avoda that's above from the tam v'das in specific days. So your whole voda is betoch tam v'das, but then once it's moving into, if it has to come to a level of above tam v'das in specific times, then it was also in the other times, and then it needs to be in the avoda b'chol levacha v'chol nafshecha b'chol asher koiches, so that your whole heart, your whole soul, and all your koiches of the nefesh, the avoda mesuderes according to tam v'das. So even though most of your voda is in the level of tam v'das, since you have those times where it goes beyond tam v'das, so therefore even when you are in tam v'das, there's a hamshacha from beyond tam v'das into that. So a case of mesiras nefesh, that you're ready to do mesiras nefesh, even though when you're not mesiras nefesh, it has the level of mesiras nefesh. You're ready to bring into this beyond, into everything which you do, even though a lot of what you do is not in the level of beyond. There's also the avoda, the tamidim, kasadram, lo yipol hanoifim, because even these levels of avoda, it's not going to fall hayinu, because in the oifen of avoda she'amad bo in those days before that, you will have a poil also on all the days that are after that. So therefore, when you're those days which you're going through the beyond tam v'das, then your avoda will be changed, even in the avoda of tam v'das. So that is at the beginning of Matan Torah comes Anichi Havaya Lokecha. Because Havaya is from the Lashon of Mahave. So you have Havaya Yudke Vovke is from the language of giving existence to. That's the inyan of Havas Shtalshlus. You have the coming down of the world, Shtalshlus. So you start off in the highest levels of spirituality, and you come down, and God hides himself a little bit more in each level, and therefore there's a bigger revelation of the existence as we go down. There's a hashasha of the worlds. And therefore, so God say the higher up you are, the more oneness there is, and the further down you go, as God hides himself, there's more multiplicity. And therefore, it's in the name Havai, there's 4 letters, Yod Ke Vav Ke. Because the inyan is the tzimtzum, is the contraction and the expansion, and the hamshacha and the shpashtus. This is the yod is the tzimtzum. So the yod goes down into a very small point. The yod is really like a dot with some etchings on it. So the yod is the tzimtzum. Mishpatos is the hey. Hamshacha is a vav. Vav is as you go from the top and you draw down, so it's bringing down. So you have in the higher levels, you have the as God comes into the world, you have the world of Itzilus is the yod coming down. Then you have the expansion of the Itzilus. God, after the tzimtzum, expands the world. That's the hey, and then the vav, the hamshacha, as it comes down into our world, and then as that power comes down, and then you have the shpashtus down here. That's the yod ke vav ke, and that is that in the beginning it is in the letter yod, and that's the inyan of tzimtzum. That is teaches on the medida the hagbala. So you have, so God's gone from infinity that has no hagbala, it has no borders or anything holding it back, and then you have it's a dot. No, I can fit the dot into my world. That through this comes the light and the seder v'hagadara. So you have everything is coming beseder. So it makes sense. It comes into logic. It comes into seichel. It can be understood until it is the makor of existence. So when you have infinity, you can't have existence as we know it in a finite setting when it's coming from infinity. So it has to start off with the point of the yud, tzimtzum. Now you can have existence in a finite manner, and beyond that the yud in the name of Havaya, Yud Ke Vav Ke, is teaching on the hatmidas ha'pu'ula. So the actions are constant. That is, that in every moment, it's in the oifen of tzimtzum and rishpashtus, hamshacha v'hishpastus. So the yud is the intermediate, so we're always constantly going through this process of yud ke vav ke. Therefore, existence is yud ke vav ke, and we're in this idea of that God comes into the world. Then that idea of God expands itself, and then it comes down into our world, and then as it comes down into our world, then it expands. It's that is every moment of existence. That's the inyan of Kalim. Mida v'hagbala, that everything has to come into its kli, which is the way that it doesn't go forever. So the or is forever, the light goes, and the Ein Sof is forever, and that comes into the Kalim, which restricts it and gives it mida, and it stops it expanding. However, the chiddush of Matan Torah is that it will bring down also the chinas of Anochi Shalamala Mehavaya. So when we have that the Aleph is beyond all this seichel, that the Havaya really is the Kalim. So if the Havaya is the Kalim, then the Anochi is beyond the Kalim. And the Anochi is coming from a place that's above, and that's the inyan of the Aleph Oisius Pella. It's that it's beyond existence. So we're coming from the infinity into the infinity. Shalamala Midas V'Hagbala. So since again Yud Ke Vav Ke is coming into the Mida, and it comes into Kalim, so therefore the Anoichi, the Aleph, comes into the world and can't be Kalim. It's beyond the Kalim, comes into the Kalim. So when we said that the Bereshis has to be with the base, because the whole world has to be in the level of Kalim. If there's no Kalim in the world, therefore we're just living in infinity. So therefore Bereshis bara means that God is creating a finite existence, therefore that has to be in the Kalim, and therefore the Aleph is beyond the Kalim. And this inyan is that it's written, Ani Havaya Hu Shemi, that's my name. And that is only the name, that the name doesn't give the essence of somebody. And you can know the names of lots of people. If you have a famous person, you know his name. You know nothing about him. You know a little bit about Beethoven. Who is Beethoven? Well, I read something about him. And whatever you read is just what somebody has researched about him. Where are we getting this information? Who is Beethoven? If you met him, would you know him based on the book? So it's a ha'ara ba'ama, the name. It tells you something a little bit about him, but it doesn't explain the essence. So that's the klalasa inyan of Seder, Shtalshalosh, and then is Mida v'Hagbala. So therefore the name, it's not the essence, but it is the idea of Kalim, the idea of Midida, that it's in a measured amount. And therefore, its need to be the revelation of Anochi, from the Bechina of Zu Yeshnu Inyan de Lo Shenisi. That's the whole thing, that God never changed. So the Anochi, that the Aleph coming from beyond the Kalim, even in the Kalim there's no difference, there's no change. That's the Inyan of Lamala Memida V'Hagbala. That's the idea of being beyond Kalim and beyond the idea of coming into measurements. So in the brackets here, we have an idea of the Lo Shenisi. That's the Inyan that I didn't change is in the name Havaya. Because there's two explanations of what this means. So the first one is that the Inyan is referring to the name Havaya that's above. So in the idea of above, we have the Yichud Eloi. That is called Havaya not because it is Mahava B'Poil. It's not creating B'Poil, but on the Kaichach. It's got the ability to give the creation. So in that, nothing's changed between the ability coming into the poil, because it's always been in the ability, and even when it's being created, it still has the ability. So therefore, there's no change there. It's explained in the Inyan of the ability in it. We find that everything is equal, to be above in all matters of koyach. So it's in the power of koyach. So therefore, everything's the same. It's in the level of koyach, and there's no change. And therefore, it's not shaykh in the Inyan of change, even though that it's called Havaya on the name of the Koyach and the to be. So then the second explanation of Lo Shenisi, it's also, as we explained many times, that Ani Havia Lo Shenisi, and that's a posuk in the Nevi'im, is referring to the Klalos Shem Havaya. So it's not the pratim of Havaya, but the Klalos. It's also on Havaya de Latata. So it's also down below. So we're speaking about the Havaya above, now it's the Havaya below. And that is Lefi Sha'ani Havaya Hu Shemi, since it's my name. And that's the Inyan of the Hara Belvad, that therefore what's down here and what you're interacting here is the multiplicity here, that's only a reflection, it's only a light, it's only a ray, and that the Tzimtzum and the Shpastus, as we've explained, as it's in the Hara Belvad. So the whole world that we're experiencing is only a ray. But the etzem of God is completely above any of this, and eino ela inyan shel helam v'giloi, and therefore we just have the revealed and the hiddenness, and therefore klape the hiddenness, that God has never changed. And even though it appears to me that there's multiplicity and God isn't in the world, then in the hidden, God is there, right, exactly the same as He was before creation. Again, this is the idea of tzimtzum lav pshuto. And you will know that the Helam and the Gilo is in the Inyan of Shinisi Amitis. It's not, he didn't actually change. He just went, it's like the Wizard of Oz is just hiding behind the curtain. He didn't become an amazing wizard, he's just hiding behind the curtain. So in this world, in the second idea of Ani Havaya Lo Shinisi, is that God put a curtain over himself, but he is here just exactly the same as he was while he was in infinity. Again, Timsim Lav Kabashuto. So that's the end of the brackets. That's where it says, I am Hashem. Hayinu, that is, and the Bechinas of Noichi. Noichi is the Etzem. It's not Ani, it's Anoichi, it's the Atzmos of Hashem. That's the Inyan of Elef Oisius Pella. So therefore, it has to start with Aleph. It has to be Anoichi. It has to start with the Natinas of the Torah, because the Etzem of God is in the Torah. That's above the Mida and Hagbal. That's what's coming into the world at Natinas of Torah, and it comes down in Havaya. In the Mida V'Agbala de Seder Hishtalshalos, as it's coming down through the worlds, and therefore it's drawing down also the Inyan of Torah's mitzvahs in Ba'olam Uba Enyine Ha'olam. So as the Torah, as God's Ratzon, as God's infinity comes into the world, it fills itself in as Torah's mitzvahs, and then that's in the way. So we have a physical mitzvah through Shtalshalos, but it's the same idea of that infinity. It's the same infinity that's just evolved through the worlds, and as it comes out here, it comes out as a lulav, or it comes out as sheep. Sheep have lots of mitzvahs. You can make the tzitzis, etc. But me, who hagayrem shimshachim bechinas onechi b'shem Havaya, but who's causing that will come down through Anoichi in the name of Havaya, that's the Inyan of Anoichi Havaya Lokecha. That's your God, and that is that the Hamechavon, that your understanding is that it will be your God. So again, you have, this is in the Anoichi Hashem Lokecha. So again, these are the words, Anoichi Hashem Elokecha. It's the Anoichi is the Atzmos of God, Yuke Vavke, as it's coming from below, but it has to come into the world of Elokecha. Elokecha is, again, what does it mean Elokecha? Elokeinu, that how can it be my God and not your God? Because it has to be on a personal level. Like as it comes down me, this is my God. This is how it fits into my seichel. This is how it fits into I can understand God. So even though I'm a finite person, it comes from the Anoichi, the etzmos of God has to come into a level of which I can relate to Him. The kaicha v'chichecha, that's for you, that you relate to God. It's your powers and your life. And the inyan is that it's made through this, the anoichi nimshach b'havaya, the anoichi, the essence of God is coming down through the havaya, because then, hine, to moiras inyan, the kecheshach ka'oira, that you have the darkness and the light, it's all the same, it's coming through, it's nase chefetz, chefetz b'maisem shel tzadikim davka. So this is drawn out through the deeds of the tzadikim gets the rotzon of God. And therefore, that it's drawing down to the Israel Davka. So how do we see the Ratzon of God in the world? Only through Jews, only through the mitzvahs that are done by the Jews. That'll be the kaichecha v'chiyuchcha, that you have the power and the lives of the Jews. And from there it's understood that also the inyan of zeh is tolui ba'avodas ha'adam. And for the whole manner of how God comes into the world is all based on what man does, i.e. the Jew. Because the ruach, I see ruach, that the flow brings another flow. So the more that you are doing the mitzvah, the more that you're engaged in the relationship, therefore the more that God is engaged in the relationship. If you come home and you sit on your phone all night, so therefore your wife will have less to do with you. If you come home and spend all your time with her, so therefore she will reciprocate and spend more time with you. So the ruach, I see ruach, is that the relationship which you have is really dependent on you. Whatever you do, you will define the relationship. As God is always ready to have a relationship with you, it's just, are you ready to have a relationship with Him? The amshech ruach, and He will draw down a further ruach. That the more work that you do down here, you will change how the response is up above. And therefore, when you do the avodas ha'adam, that is in the levels of anoichi. So you're doing the levels of the etzem of God, and that is that in his avodah, it's not mitzad seichel, because seichel is already, it's come down into kelim. That God is in kelim. Once you understand God, then God is in kelim. So that's not the aleph, that's the base. So medida v'hagbola, that's in the kelim. So again, you can't understand infinity. The best you can do is understand how a finite mind can understand infinity. So therefore, once it's seichel, I mean, you can understand a lot can fit in the seichel, but there's more to God than what fits in the seichel. You have why did God do the Holocaust? That's a seichel question. And some things don't fit into the seichel. And sometimes you just got to go, well, there's also a part of the relationship that goes beyond the seichel. And you let it go, but that's when you touch the atzmius. That's when you go beyond the kelim. It's beyond tam v'das. And in oifen shehakavana panimis nigneshes beharotzen behergers panimi, and that's in the manner that the kavana, then your internal kavana, as we spoke about before, we have the kavana panimis and the kavana chitzonius, and then it'll be felt in the rotzen and of the panimi. So you're connecting to this rotzen panimius when you go beyond the tam v'das, and then you have that connection to not with the base that fits in the seichel, but you have a connection to the aleph that goes beyond the seichel. So skip the brackets, and behold, through this, then you will have the action also above of the hamshachas. You'll bring down the aleph of Anaichi according to the revelation of Matan Torah in a manner that will bring down also the tam, akomos, the hidden, the hatonik sheb beharatzon. As again, these are the ideas of the hidden rotzen which we've spoken about, and through this, that the desire in the maisim of the tzadikim davka. So there again, that the inner panemius is davka through the tzadikim. And it's not like darkness and light. But davka, the ratzon of God will be revealed, that when you reach a level of beyond tam v'das, then God reaches a level of beyond tam v'das, and therefore there's a ratzon in God. Even in infinity there's a ratzon. And how does that make sense? Because it's beyond tam v'das. You're touching a point of the etzem, and the etzem of God is beyond seichel. Why did God create the world? Because He wants a relationship with you. Why does He want a relationship with you? You're not going to understand that. That's His ratzon, because God wants that relationship. Then He created the world. So therefore, in the creation of the world is seichel. So therefore, the ratzon of God, of why He wants relationship with you, comes before the creation of kelim. So therefore, His ratzon to have relationship with you is in the state of infinity. It's in the aleph. You can only understand things once you're already in the base. And that's why the idea of don't try to understand things that's beyond the base, because you can't. It doesn't fit into seichel. So therefore, that ratzon of God to have a relationship with you is beyond. It's in the aleph, and therefore you can't understand it. But that's the Penimis Rotzen of God. And therefore, even in the infinity, he wants it with you, and he wants the Jew, and he wants the Maisim of Tzadikim Davka, and he doesn't want the Maisim of the Rishayim. Until also in the Chitzoni Harotzon, there won't be a Kachesha Ka'ir, it's not all the same. In the Chitzoni Rotzen either, that you prefer Tzadik over Rasha. And from this we'll understand the actions of the Aleph, of the Eshel, in the Hashpos HaAretz, the Gan Eden. So that the Eshel is what Abraham was doing, and that when he's improving the land of Gan Eden, because Gan Eden by itself, that's the Inyan of Midavakbal, it's all about Kalim, to be the Or Panimi. But through the avodas of man, to work it and to keep it in the manner above of Hagbala, outside of the Kalim, then you draw into Gan Eden the Bechinis of Aleph. That's above the Midah of the Hagbala, and that is the Hashpicha, that is the improving of the actions in Gan Eden. That you bring then to, in the Gan, the idea of Eden. So Eden is outside the Gan, so Eden is the Ikar Rotzen, is the internal Rotzen, is the Aleph, and through this avodah that you go into the Aleph, so there you'll bring the Eden into the Gan, and that's the Inyan of Danog. And therefore, it's referring on the Panemius of the Chachma and the Panemius of the Keter, and also the Gan will be as it is in the level of Eden. So 7. Biranian ois shin de eshel. So again, we have the eshel that Abraham built. We dealt with the aleph, which is lamala mitamadas. Now we're dealing with the shin. The shin, yuvan, as it says above, that it is itself moira on the inyan, because we're teaching itself. That the tamuna sa'od, that how the letter is built and is drawn, is teaching on the how it brings down. So we're going to talk about the construction of the letter shin, because the letter shin is done from 3 kavim. See, the shin is 1, 2, 3, and they all kind of meet at the bottom. So we have 3 levels coming down, 1, 2, 3, and then they meet at the bottom. So the 3 kavim, the 3 flows of the 3 sticks are not separate. So they don't just come down 1, 2, 3 like 3 vavs, but then they meet in the middle. They're connected and they are one at their bottom. And this is all the matter of the 3 kavim, the 3 strands. That is the Inyan of the midas that are in their klal, that are together. And they are 3 midas, chesed, gevurah, and tiferes. So those 3 come down and meet. That's what a shin is. And that is that the midos from themselves, that they are separate. So each one, you have chesed, is different to gevurah. And it's only that in the levels of the chitzonis of the midos on the outside, also in the panemius and the internals of the midos. And they are ahava and yira. It says in the Tanya that ahava and yira are the panemius of chesed and gevurah. So you have ahava and yira, which is the panemi, and then chesed and gevurah, which are the chitzoni. So we see in a man below that when he is in the area of ahava, he's not able to be in the area of yira, and also the opposite, that if he's in yira, he's not able. He's in the fear. He's not in the love. He can't have them both together. And this is that the chiddush of the Torah, that you're able to have ahava and yira as one. Ahava and yira can come together. That's one of the chiddushim of the Torah. As it says in the Sifri, you don't have ahava in the place of yira and yira in the place of ahava. So only God can have those midas. So therefore, through the giving of the Torah, He's allowing the Jews to access those midas, to have ahava and yira together. And that's the Inyan of the shin. So what's the shin doing? Now it has 3 kavim, and that's the Inyan of klalas hamidas. So the midas are coming together. You have the 3 midas separate, but then they come down. They're all coming from the same place as they are, and not in this idea of being separate. But they are together and they are one below. So as they come down, they become one below. So they're not 3 separate. If they're 3 separate, it would be like a comb, just 3 going up, and they never connect. And the beer, to explain the Inyan in the avodas of man, what's it got to do with how man is supposed to live his life? That behold, also when the avoda is in the tzad of aleph. So even when you're reaching this level of aleph, which is higher than tam midas, and that's the Inyan of the rotzon, and panemius rotzon, as we've discussed before, because then he felt the kavanah panemius. We see b'mechush with our senses that the man is able to be Isaac b'avoda, this high level of avoda, until through the hit v'ninus ba'al oifen ha'avoda she'lemala mitam v'das. You're able to do the avoda that's in a level that's beyond the tam v'das. Again, that's the aleph. And that's the inyan of you have this Havana, you're thinking about the matter. It is only to remove the things that are stopping it, and afal pikein, even so, after a short time, it is not then shayach for the Maisa B'Pol to actually do a physical act, even though that you've had this consideration and you're contemplating this idea was hispanis imitiz. It was true. And you were just thinking about and considering true matters. However, it doesn't come into after a short time, it just goes away, and it doesn't come into your pu'ul, it doesn't come into your actions. And the reason for this is because it is only the inyan of yediyah. You're doing everything in your head, you're thinking about it, but it doesn't come to b'poil, it doesn't come into action. It doesn't come down, so it stays in your head. Doesn't come down into your heart, and therefore, when it comes to doing an action, all this contemplation and all this thinking didn't do anything. And then this it says, "V'yidata hayom v'shivasa alavecha." So we have the two ideas. V'yidata hayom is the first step, but you have to bring it down into the heart. How do you bring it down into the heart? So that's the shin. That is that in order that it will be a kiyom le'inyan hayediyah. How do you have yidata hayom? So you know today, but how do you have a kiyom of this yediyah? It has to come into the heart. So you're thinking about things and things. Oh, that was geschmack. But then 2 minutes later, you're like you hear something and you be like, this will completely change my life. And then 2 minutes later, you hear something, and it's like, oh yeah, I knew something about this, I knew, but I can't remember exactly what it was. When you're in that area, because it stays in the head, but it doesn't nimshach into the heart. In order to have a kiyam le'inyan, in order to have this kiyam, then you need to have the tepoel mili hakavana v'harotzen ha'elyon. It has to have a pa'ula, has to have an action from the kavana and the rotzen elyon. Has to be the hachashava alalev. You need to have this. It has to come into the heart, to bring it down, this yediyah, into the midas of the leiv. And that is that the hisbolis halev b'chol gimel kam, that you have to have this response of the heart to the 3 levels. And that is that the inyan of that v'yidata hayom has an action on the pa'ula through v'hashavta al levavecha. So you're having this action in order to bring it down, which is the shin, which is the hamshacha of all 3 from your yediyah of aleph, which is the beyond the tam v'das into the heart, until that is nifal tachlis ha'avoida. It comes into it has an action, it comes out in your avoida, and that is the inyan of ein oid. As the pasuk finishes, Ashata alavecha de ein od. And that is the inyan of the shin, that is after the aleph. So you have eshel. So first you have the aleph, which is the lemala b'tam v'das, and then you have the shin, because the tachlis of the kavana is that the aleph, and that's the avodah that's above tam v'das, it will be brought down in by the shin, and that's the 3 kavim, and that's the midos. So that's the klalas inyan hamidos. That's the 3 levels, and he will have an action through them. They won't be only on the bechinas of that they're separate. They're separate midos, they're separate hamshachas, but it'll all come into one. It'll be all in the yachid b'avodas Hashem, will come together into your vodas Hashem as one, as it says in the Sifri, as we've already explained. And that is that in order to have this action in the inyan of achdus, in an inyan with the how do you have the achdus from the separated branches, which are the 3 midos that seem to be separate, but you're going to bring them into one. You have to have this hamshach. You have to bring down from the level that's above pirud. So when you're in the aleph that's above mitam v'das, there is no separation because you're in the world of achdus, and that's the inyan of hamshacha ha'aleph. So you're bringing in, because it's coming from the aleph, to bring the aleph then into the shin. And that's the inyan of avodah shalamala mitam v'das. Because when you're bringing down the aleph, which is above all these things, into your avodah, so therefore things that are separate then become one. Because the aleph of oneness and the aleph of above tam v'das comes into your avoida, and then through that your 3 kavim become one. And that is nasa inyan hisachzuch begimel kavim. That's how you make the oneness from the 3, that the ahava will not be as stira will not be in contradiction to the yira, and the yira will not be a contradiction to the ava, because both of them are in tachlis, they are one, and that's the inyan of avodas Hashem. So chet. We move on to the lamed of Eshel. So we hold the whole kavana of this, that everything is brought down into Maisa B'Poel. So even though you're having all the machshava, it has to all come down into the Maisa. And that is the inyan of the lamed. that is in the word eshel. So when we dealt with the aleph, we dealt with the shin, now we're looking at the lamed. And that is the inyan of the letter of lamed, that is l'chayra, like the inyan of the aleph. So the aleph of the eshel and the lamed are similarly connected. That the aleph is the lashon of alufa v'limud. So the ulfa would be the princes, and the learning, and the limud is the learning, and also the lamed is moira, is teaching on the inyan of limud. However, the inyan is, as it is explained in another place in length, that there are two ufnei limud, there are two types of learning. And the first one is the way of limud to the level that is the highest level, and that is the level of aleph, which we said before, which was like the idea of chokhmah beyond seichel. That's the lashon of alofecha chokhmah, alofecha bina. So this is all beyond the seichel. And that's the limud of the Chokhmah and Bina itself. And the limud there is brought down from the Makor HaSeichel. So it's brought down from the Seichel, and therefore is called the Shem Pella Oisius Aleph. So the Pella is the wonderment, and is the letters of Aleph. The second way is the Oifen of Limud, that is in the level that is below. It is the lower level of the Limud, and through there it is that Kol Benecha Limud Havaya, and that all your children will be learning Hashem from all the learning of the Seichel, and that is the Oifen of the Limud, that the Limud of every man. So every man is learning, it goes into a Seichel. That's how you learn, not beyond the Seichel, but in the Seichel. And the further, and until that the Chazal were Dairish, what it says in the Divrei Chachamim, Rabbanus, that the Rabbanan, now it is from the Mirada Shemay Rada B'Para. So this Melamed Haboker is the cattle prod. So you hit the cow with in order to train it how to do its work. So that the Marda, it is given the das to the para. How does the para know what to do? It's called the Malamed Boker, that you're teaching the Boker through the stick. And the matter, how it works with Avodas Adam, that the Lamed is Meira on the Hamshacha and the Limud Nefesh HaBehemus. So you're bringing down from that Nefesh HaLokis into the Nefesh Behemus through the Shirish of the Dalet Chios HaMarkava. So you have the four lives that's in the Markava. That is in the Avodas of his Bonanus, that you're considering and you're thinking about it until the Avodah from the Tzara Rotzon V'Haratzua. So if the Ratzon is the desire, and the Roitz is that you're running towards it. So you have that desire, you have you thinking about the Avodah, and you bring yourself to a point in which you have that running desire, you're passionate, you're thirsty, you want it. Hooray. It's aboninus. This consideration that you're able to be poil on the nefesh elokis, you're able to bring it into the nefesh elokis. It is not that is bonus that you're able to do on the nefesh habehemis. So whatever you're using to get your nefesh elokis excited isn't going to work in nefesh behema. Ve'al derogzel hepoch. So therefore, it's the opposite, that the bonus that works on the nefesh behema is not going to work in nefesh elokis. This Indian hayoytze medida v'hagbola. That's coming out of Kalim, that you have the level of Hagbola, of restrainment and containment, and it needs to go out of that. And B'cholashem beis oifane hisvonanos. So these two types of contemplation, the Shema Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Hashem Echad, Uvraksim Kavod Mechusol Olam Va'ed. So you have the Echad in the first paragraph will be Yichud Eloi, and then you have Shem and Malchus, which is the Yichud Tetoy. So you have the two levels of the service of Hashem that's going on with the first line of the Shema and then the second line of the Shema, two different worlds. That is the Klolos HaChiluk of the separation, what the difference between the Yichud Eloi and the Yichud Tetoy. And the Chiluk that's between them is understood from the explanation of the Psukim, because Shema Yisrael, that's the Indian us of thinking about the fact that Hashem is one. Again, this is the oneness of God, so where you don't even exist outside of it. And that is that you will consider that the essence of Ein Sof, that is beyond all matters of the world and all matters of Hishtalshelus. So we've the Hishtalshelus that creates the world, even though it's all coming from the source of God. Beyond all that is the Echad of Hashem Echad, and that is the manner that it doesn't change. So Ani Hashem Lo Shenisi, I am God, I never changed. Therefore, before creation, after creation, that's all the same. So therefore, when you're reaching the level of Hashem Echad, therefore you're transcending the whole of existence, and just like you were one with God before creation, right here, right now, you are one with God before creation. That's only in the Yichud Eloi, and that's the Kavanas of Shema. because since that all the Seder of the Shtalshalos is only a Mara Da'alma, that we're considering the Keneged Hashem, and the Ein Sof, therefore all the creation is nothing compared to him, and that is understood that he is one. Again, that's the real essence of oneness, that there is nothing outside of that oneness. That is that the 7 Rekias and the land and the 4 Ruchas of the world are bottled by Metzius, the Ofusha Oilam. So also going into the Aleph here, but this is the idea that God being the master of the universe and the Ein Sof, in infinity, the whole of the universe just gets bottled to it. And that's the Indian of the Elef, Oisios Pella, and that's the wonderment, Amnam. However, this contemplation is not shayach to the nefesh ha-behemoth. So the nefesh behemoth isn't really interested in I don't exist, and that I am infinity, and that I am before creation. That doesn't talk to the nefesh behemoth. Again, if you just say that to the nefesh behemoth, he's going to go have the Jesus syndrome and go down the kotel and go crazy. Kevin shemitzad atzma by itself ein la shayach le'aniyim. Doesn't have by itself, the nefesh behemoth is not shayach to the matters that are above the seder of Hishtalshalos. The nefesh behemoth is in the seder of Hishtalshalos, is not shayach to beyond the seder Hishtalshalos. Therefore, that language doesn't talk to it, and therefore, if it does, it comes out in the wrong way because of the creation of the seder of Hishtalshalos. And so the nefesh behemoth is a creation from the seder of Hishtalshalos. So just like if you prove God, all you're doing is proving God created Seichel and God created the science lab. So therefore, how can you prove God with Seichel? How can you logically say that God exists? Because you're not proving God, you're proving whatever God exists in Seichel. But he goes beyond that as well, just like in the science lab. You prove God in the science lab, but that's only what God fits in the science lab. So Nefesh Behemoth can't get out of the fact that it is a created being from Hishtalshalos, and therefore things that are beyond Hishtalshalos is not shayach for the Nefesh Behemoth. And therefore it needs to be also the understanding of Baruch Shem Kavod Machoso Le'olam Va'ed. Therefore we need to bring that into the Nefesh Behemoth, because the Shem Kavod Machoso Kai Al Ha'ara Ha'elokis. Because the shame, what is this shame? The shame is coming from how Ein Sof is creating the world. So the Ha'ara, and this ray of the sun, it's not the sun, which is the echad, it's the ray of the sun. And that ray of the sun is what the behemoth can talk about and can talk to. It's Arvid, the tefel bilvad. It's not the essence of God or the essence of creation, it's just the tefel. So choosing the tefel, the behemoth wants the tefel, it wants the chocolate cake. Shene'esis mekor le'olamos, and that's the source of all the worlds. But beyond the worlds is Ein Sof, is infinity. So when you're touching that Ein Sof, so the Nefesh Behemoth doesn't want to be there. And that is the considerations that Ein Davar Oisa Es Atzmo, that something can't make itself. And it's understood that the thing that is made, it is below the level, that it's not in the same erech, it's not on the same level or quality by the thing of the essence itself. And Va'ad She'inyan, that it is the hishava hayesh ma'ayin lo nimsa klal bechek ha-nivroyim. So therefore, this idea of the being of the yesh ma'ayin, you won't find it at all in the bosom of the what is created. It's not in touch with its ayinness, and this consideration will be bepoil. Also, in its essence, in the world, it will be by him bittul hayesh. So since the Nefesh Behemoth is a created being, is coming through the Hishtalshalos, then it's lacking that connection to the ayin itself that created it, because that's above its pay grade. But this consideration of it and thinking about this will have a pa'ula that you go into the ideas of the bittul yesh when you're considering these ideas of what's coming above you. And it's understood as also the inyan of limud. I'm going back to the lamed here, but lo ba'ofen jebepoil bittul b'metzias l'ofu she'olam. It's not, you're not going to have, so this limud, it's not going to bring you to this bepoil that you're going to be bittul b'metzias to Yud Kei Vav Kei in the echad of the first Shema, the ha'elef de anoichi. So you have that level of the aleph, we've spoken about before, that it's above the base of Bereshis. So the world starts with the base, and then only with when the Ratzon of God comes into the world with the Nesinus Torah do you have the aleph coming into the world. So we're here again. The Behemoth is on the base of the world and not the aleph of the world. But it's only the limud, the Shabbat that brings down the das b'zeh Behemoth. It's only in the zera Behemoth, and that also the nefesh of Behemoth and the guf will come to the bittul of the yesh through the considering that is shaykh to them. So there's different types of the bittul hayesh. There's the bittul hayesh amiti, which is beyond, and you just become one with infinity. But then you have the bittul hayesh of the nefesh behema, which is the bittul on its level. However, in order that the nefesh halakis is able to have this effect on the nefesh behema, which without looking on it being the behemoth, by itself it is shaykh rak to the manners of gashmius and the behemoth things. So the physical things are only what the nefesh behema can touch on. I mean, will have this poil of the on thinking about so much that it will awaken in the rotzen to come out from the physical restrictions, that you're in the Meitzer, you're in the Mitzrayim, you're restricted, you're physical, you're stuck in this world, and then by considering these things, so therefore you'll reach a rotzen that you want to break out, you want to get out of what's holding you back. And the Hagbala and your stuckness that will bring to that level of I want to get out of here, and then it needs to be Techila has to start off with thinking of the action of the Nefesh Elokis. And that is the consideration of the first pasuk of Kriyas Shema, that Hashem Echad. So through your consideration, thinking about the ideas of Hashem Echad and the true Hashem Echad of Yichud Eloi, so then when you come to the Yichud Tatoy, then you'll feel stuck that I just had this transcendence oneness, and now I'm feeling my guf, and I'm feeling myself, I'm feeling the behema. Then you create a rotzen that I want to get out of it, and I want to go into the true Echad. That's the inyan of the Hamshacha, of the Aluf Sha'alam, of the Aleph, of Anechi bringing that down, and is bring down the Havaya Elokecha, as we said above. And after this, we'll bring through the inyan of Baruch Shem Kavod Machosod Olam Va'ed to bepoil also on the Nefesh HaBehemus, as we said, B'chol Levacha B'shnei Yitzracha, and that's the inyan of Ois Lamet. So we have the idea of, firstly, we're starting off with the Hashem Echad, which is talking to your Nefesh Elokis, and then you have Baruch Shem Kavod Machosod, which is going on to the Nefesh Behema. But since you've first gone through the Shema Yisrael, Nefesh Behema also has the flavor of I want to get out and I want to go into the Bittul Be'etzim, and that is what is written, V'yeta Eshel b'Beersheva. So Avraham, he planted the tree in Beersheva. So this is so. Now what's going? This, again, we've explained what the Eshel is, and that's in Beersheva. That is explained in the Chassidus and Kabbalah. That in Beersheva is referring to the Sheva Bracha Shel Kriyas Shema. As Chazal say, in the morning you say 2, before, and 1 is after. That's 3, and then every Baruch Shtayim, that's 5. 2, that's before is 2, and 2 afterwards is 7. So therefore you have the 7 brachas of Kriyas Shema, that's the Beersheva, because we say 7 brachas on Kriyas Shema. And then Yerushalmi says that that's the V'zehu Anshama Mashakosov, that the Sheva Biyom Hislecha, the 7 times you will praise. As a quote from Tehillim, and Al Zenemor V'yeta Eshel b'Beersheva. So he's planting the Eshel in Beersheva. That's what it's saying. Hayinu, that is that the Sheba Emsa Ha'avoida the Berachos Kriyas Shema, that the Emsa, the middle part of the avoida of the Berachos Kriyas Shema, Beersheva Yeshna Inyan to Eshel. So we planted in the middle of the brachas this whole idea of Eshel. That is referring to the avoida of Kriyas Shema, Shema Yisrael, that Hashem Echad, Baruch Shem Kavod Machosod Le'olam Va'ed, and that is the Oifen Shekliyalim Ba'inyan. So the 3. So this idea of the Shema is including the 3 letters of Eshel. That the Aleph is Moira on the Bittul to Hashem, which is the Echad Mamish. It's brought down in the Bechina of above Hishtalshalos completely in the Vodas of Adam, and then the Chodvus B'Chochma Bina Shabo, and then. So that comes down to the Chochma Bina, and that's all the Aleph is the Chochma Bina, and then the Shin, we said that it comes down through the Gimel Kavim, and that's the Klaus Amidos. And then the Lamed is on the Hamshacha, as it brings down the beginning of Ne'aram al Lemaisa B'Poil. So the Nehiyam is Netzach, Hod, Yusod, and Malchus, and it comes down into Maisa B'Poil, so that's the last Lamed, and that is the Pa'ula of the Nefesh, Apahemis, and that is the Koyach of the Siyah. But you're doing it here, and that's the Inyan that he is Mishtachav Emadam Ubahema. So you have the Adam and Behema coming together, and through that is Nimshala, the Kavana of the highest of Hashem, the Oininga Elyon, the Nachas Ruach. You get the pleasure because I said it and it was done, my will was done. So that's how is the Pa'ula in the world of Asiyah, the mitzvah is doing done. That's the highest level. And through that, the Aninim of Lamata Davka, it's only through doing them down here in this world do you get the Ratzon of Hashem really being filled. Now, from the Eshel of Abraham, this is in 9, Yaakov planted the Erez, the cedars that he brought down to Egypt. And the children of Israel then took them to the Midbar. So you have a whole story of what's going on, a history of what's going on to these trees. And from that, they said after this, the Bria Chatichon Betocha Karoshim. So the Bria Chatichon, you have a middle piece of the Mishkan, that the Mishkan is on three sides like a ches, and then you stick the middle piece of wood goes through the middle of the wall, goes down one side, and then like the piece of wood turns the corner, then you keep pushing it in, and then turns the other corner, and it does the whole ches. And when you take it out, you just pull it, and the whole thing comes out straight. This is the Bria Chatichon, which is the middle piece of wood that holds the whole Mishkan together. That it was bending over like a nachash. It was bending like a snake. I think it's the idea that this straight piece of wood is able to bend inside the Mishkan. And the Inyan Bizeh is that also after the Avodah of Abraham, by planting the Eshel, so again, Abraham planted the tree that ended up being the thing that held the whole Mishkan together. That's the Inyan of the Hamshacha of the Shin and the Lamed. So you're bringing it down into the Shin and into the Lamed, and it's not... Still not the complete kavana, because the tachlis of the kavana is that is the bittul, the total bittul is the kavana. So again, only Abraham went through the ayin, the shin, and the lamed, but you're still missing the enter into the Mishkan. Again, entering into the Mishkan is going to be the bittul, but Abraham didn't do that. Again, it was hundreds of years later. And it's not there's loz bulvad. It's not only this, you're not able to get a yanika and draw down from the many of the tzimtzumim. And then that's what's done through the hamshacha with the shin and the lamed. Rather, shalo yuchalinak, you can't have the drawing down and the subtling even from the china of above medrega mi medida v'hagbola. The chitzonis harotzen. So you're not even bringing down, you're not even touching the chitzonis harotzen, because you're in the proper bittul, a complete bittul. There's only the penimis harotzen. For this, it has to have the hamshacha, the penimis harotzen, and the oifen that the penimis harotzen will be the inyan of ikr. So the ikr is all on the penimis, and that is in a state of revelation and not in the state of helam v'kiso, that's covered up, or that it is hidden. And in this inyan is taken action through Matan Torah, because that it brings down the Elef of Anoichi into the Havaya Lokecha B'Kilo. So we have this revelation of the Anoichi, the revelation of the Aleph, the revelation of the Ratzon of Hashem into the world through the Matan Torah. And that is also the inyan of Yaakov, as it says that Vayekam Eros B'Yaakov, V'Torah Shem B'Yisrael. So this is in Tehillim, that he established the testimony, the Eidos in Yaakov, and the Torah he put in Yisrael. But the inyan is the Matan Torah, Baba Poel, it comes through in action through Moshe. As the inyan of Yaakov alone, and Moshe, Yaakov's on the outside and Moshe's on the inside. And there's known also the Chiddush of Yaakov by Abraham and Yitzchak, as it says in the Zohar, that Abraham and Yitzchak, that they were the Bechinas of Irusin, Shekodim HaNisuin, so that they're the Kedushin. And after that, there is the inyan of Dimna, the Yemina, the Shmos, you have the right and the left. That's Abraham and Yitzchak. So again, Abraham is the right, is the Chesed. Yitzchak is the Gevura, and then through that, then you have Yaakov, who is the middle. So the Benenu Kalas, you have the girl getting married. That's the inyan of Yaakov, because the tefillah is the tefillah of Arvit. That Yaakov was machadish the tefillah of Arvit. It's the beginning of Parshas Vayetze. When he was at the mountain, and then the sun went down, and he davened. That's Arvit, and that's the inyan is the Yichud HaElyon. We're talking about Yichud Eloi. And in Ha-Nesuyin, so we've gone from Kedushin to Avraham and Yitzchak to the Nesuyin, which is that relationship, that close relationship beyond. That's the level of Yaakov. That's the inyan of Na'aseh, Na'asis Hamshachas Hatipa Shi Hamshachas Atzmis. So you have the tipa is where you have everything in that concentrated manner, and then it's coming down. It's brought down by the atzmas, the etzem and the shayrish of everything is in that drop. So that's how it's coming out in the relationship, and that's the inyan of the hamshacha and the revelation of the oineg elyon, the atzmos and mahusis ein sof baruch hu. So that in the tipa you have everything. Therefore, in the everything you have the atzmos of Hashem. You have the essence of God Himself of ein sof. That's what's coming down in there, and that's the inyan of Yaakov Naseh from the Eshel Avraham, that the Briach HaTichon. That again, Yaakov was the hamshach. He brought down that without Yaakov bringing the Eshel to Mitzrayim, there's not going to be this. So Abraham needed this actions of Yaakov, and the actions of Yaakov bringing out the Nesuyin, and that's the Nechva Kanachash, the way it was bending like a snake, and that is that through the bittul of the inyan of Nachash HaKadmoni, so through the initial sin, and Yaakov is going beyond that, and beyond this, that the Poilem HaInyan to Iskafcha. So there's the Hippuch, that we're flipping over. You take something that's ra and turn it into good. Not just saying no to the ra, but taking the ra and turning the ra into good. Also, the oivav yishalamimo. So therefore, also the enemies will be at peace, is the hippuch, where the enemies, you don't destroy the enemies, but the enemies will become peaceful with them. She temuras nachash b'riach. So Tamura is where you're exchanging something, so the nachash into the briach, and it's become a briach hatichon, the middle post that is mavriach and brings everything together, but in through the keroshim, and Mechaber brings together the three sides of the Mishkan. So the Mishkan is like a chet, and then the briach goes up, in, and down. That is that alav and yisod hamishkan, so that the whole yisod of the Mishkan is only held together because of the nachash, that through the nase v'shachanti b'toicham, that through that God wants to dwell within us, the dira lo yisparach, He's making this dira, this dwelling place. And as it's understood in Chassidus, that the inyan of the dira is that in it you will nimsa atzmuiso imahuiso yisparach. And what's a dira? Dira is where you're not at the office. So the office you're not yourself. You're being somebody. But when you're at home, that's when you are yourself. And therefore, in the dira is where you're going to find the atzmas of Hashem. Because if you go to Shemayim, you're not going to find the atzmas of Hashem, because God's in His revelation, and therefore you can't touch that infinity. But here in the dira b'tachtonim, we build the dira b'tachtonim here. Therefore, God can reveal Himself in His atzmos. That's what the dira is. The dira is where you are yourself. So that's the inyan of Shachos ha'echdos ad lamata matas. That you bring the actos of one. So you bring in the yichud eloi into the yichud tetoy, and that is the that is the avodah. So 10, we get back to Purim, and that is also mashkatav in the Midrash when we're referring to Purim. That kasher, like Haman, made the eitz gavua, he did a 50 amos tall. Hashem said, this will not be the tree, that because already Abraham went before him and said that you should dwell under the tree. And also, by Moshe, it says that he threw the tree into the river. And the inyan for this is that it's written, Kaimu v'kiblu ha'Yehudim, so that the Jews were Makayim and they were Makabeled, so that the Jews at the time of Purim were Kimu v'kiblu. And this is the idea of that they Makabeled what they Makabel kavar. So they Kayimed, so they were already Makabeled at Matan Torah, but now at Purim they were Makayim. So the Gemara there says that they're actually chayav in mitzvahs until Purim, because they makabel the Torah, they were forced into it, but now they're now keeping the Torah there from the Ratzon. So the kiyum only happens at Purim, because the time of Matan Torah it was only the beginning. So the whole inyan and the revelation of God, it was only began in Matan Torah, and that the siyum was in the days of Purim. So the days of Purim, according to this, and is on like a higher level, and it's the seam. It's how it's finishing. Purim is much greater than the time of Matan Torah, and that is that even though that before this, that they already had the inyan of Matan Torah, they had the Matan Torah before Purim. Nevertheless, until then, it was the inyan of Torahs and mitzvahs in b'midah v'hagbala, that it was restricted and it had boundaries. But in the bechinas of Oineg Elyon, it was only a Behelim. So that the Inyan Ha'elim and the And the Ratzon Ha'elyon and the pleasure Ha'elyon, it was not in a level of revelation, it was in a level of hiddenness. And therefore, it was then the Eitzes HaNachash HaKadmoni through Haman. So Haman is bringing out that the Eitzes HaNachash HaKadmoni, that from the Shoyrish of the Nachash came out the Tzafa. So the viper is coming from the original Nachash, and then he wanted to makabel the Yanika from the Bechinas of above, the Magden of Hagbala. So can we have in the Aleph, that's what Haman wanted to get in touch with. And to bring that into the Bechinas of Chitzoni Saratzim. And the Bechinas of that, it says, Eino Yodea Be'eza Mehem Chafetz. So in this Chitzoni, he doesn't know which one he wants. So we saw this before, that I don't know if God wants good or God wants bad. So that's what on the Chitzoni Haratzim. So that's where Haman was trying to touch. He's trying to touch the Chitzoni Haratzim, because Haman being the Rasha, in the Chitzoni Haratzim, there's no difference, because you're just in the world of infinity. So therefore, there's good and there's bad, and then who cares? So therefore, Hitler and Haman and Rebbi Akiva, they're all on the same level, because God's in his infinity. What the hell does he care? So in that Chitzoni of the Ratzon, there's no difference, and therefore Haman being the Rasha, if he touches there, he can draw down the Kayach of Hashem Atzmius from this place of the Chitzoni Haratzon, because there's no difference. Because there you're touching a place of Kachesha Ka'ayra, that the darkness is like the light, and on there it said Ram al Kol Goyim Havaya. So that it's talking about the Goyim. So beyond all Goyim is Havaya, that they're able to Makabel Bechinus Ram, that the Goyim are able to touch this level of Ram. So Haman in all his evil, if he's in the level of Ishtalshalas, so therefore good is better than bad. Only once you touch that level that's beyond, then you say, well, God's in his infinity, what are you touching there? It's all the same, darkness and light, there's no difference, and therefore Rasha v'toiv, tzaddik v'rasha, mitzvah v'avera, it's all the same on that level. Therefore, by touching that, he can draw down and get what he's looking for. And that's what it says, Yasa Eitz Gavoach HaMishim Am. That's why he made the tree that's 50 Amos tall. That is that the Mispar, what's the number 50? It's Mayra and the Bechinas that's beyond the Seder of Ishtalshlus. So you have like the 49 gates, and then 50th is beyond. It's just like as we see also in Kedusha, that even though it says that you count 50 days, this is for the Omer, Makom Makom, Koach of Adam, we can only do 49 days. Why do we count 49 days when the Torah says 50? Because 50 is beyond our actions down here. 50 is touching something that's beyond us. So therefore Haman wanted to make it 50 Amos tall to touch that level beyond, that gives the ability to the Rasha, which is the Chitzoni Haratzon. 49 days. Through that's you do the avoda for 49 days. So 7 weeks, Tamima it will be. Then it will nimshach b'derech memelech. Since we can't reach this level of 50, we can only put our work in, which is 49, and then we get from above the 50th. Gama inyan diyom hachamishi. But that can only be given to us. We can't do it and we can't earn it. We can only work the 49 days and then get it from above. But when there is a chisron ba'avoda, when there's a lakin in the avoda, then you're able to be in the bechinas of chamishin. Because that's in the chitzonis that's in it. The inyan of tekechesha ka'ira. So the chesron in the avoda here is that you're touching the chitzoni of the ratzon, not the panimi of the ratzon, and therefore when you're in that level, you can touch the level that the darkness and light's all the same, and therefore you're able to consider that you will do the eights. I'm going to do this, and in the morning he says to the king of the oilam, that you should be hung on it, because it's all the same, and also the tzaddik ma'ati tenlo. Therefore you're able to be bepoil on Mordechai and on the tzaddik, because when everything's the same, so therefore you're good, it makes no difference. If you're bad, it makes no difference. So all the tzidkas of Mordechai doesn't do anything when you're touching that place. Therefore, only because you has a chesron the avoda, which is you touching the chitzoni of the ratzon, there you're able to touch and bring ra onto the tzaddikim chas v'chalila. Ach, al zeh ila vodasam shel bnei Israel. But through this is where you get that the avodah of the Jews was to help the matter in Purim, because they were studying Memshach Kodesh the whole year, all in Te'una shel Mesiras Nefesh. So the whole time of Purim and the whole year they stood in Mesiras Nefesh, because they were ready, because Haman said they're going to kill all the Jews, and all they had to do was to not be Jewish, and they said, no, we're going to stay with God, and therefore they're in the state of Mesiras Nefesh the whole year, and that is the mitzvah of Penimis Harotzon. So how do they reach the level? Why are they doing Mesiras Nefesh? Because that's the Penimis Harotzon. Dihine. So it's as if they were Nena Misuda of Oisarasha. So they went to Achashverosh's party. So he's saying it's as if it's almost like that they got pleasure from that Suda. That's what it says in the Gemara that they did. Why did they do that? Because Nechnas Behem Ruach Shtos, so that entered into them this crazy, this ruach craziness that became insane, as Chazal say, no one does an Avera unless it comes into him a Ruach Shtos. So if you're tuned and at one with the oneness of the world and God, then you're never going to go against His Ratzon. So therefore, why would you ever go against God's Ratzon? Because you have this insanity coming inside of you. And Ruach Shtos, it covers over the Chacham and the Bina, and the Afilu and the Bechinas of the Aleph, and therefore you completely lose touch of the Aleph as it's brought down and come down into the Kli, the Chachma and Bina. So you lose touch with that beyondness, the Aleph Chachma, Aleph Bina. Kol zeh shayach, it's only goes on she'ein noige, that any time that you're not in touch with the Penimis Harotzon. So it's only shayach once you're touching the Chitzonis Harotzon. Because of the Penimis Harotzon, then even the Kal Shabakalan of Israel eina roitze ve'eina yochol lahiyos nifrad melokos. Because once you're touching that Penimis Harotzon, you are God, and therefore you're never going to be separate from God. Nothing you're going to do will make you separate from God, and that's where you have, through the ages, you have the Jews being moister nefesh for God, even though they have no interest in Judaism whatsoever. And you have journalists and people who have no connection to Torah, mitzvahs, learning yeshivas, and nothing to do with any of that. And it comes to Avodah Zarah, it comes to going against God. And like, no, I am going to give my life, Shema Yisrael, and you're awakening, because that's the Penimis Harotzon, gets awoken in those areas. And therefore, when you're touching that Penimis Harotzon, therefore, no one's going to be separate from Elokus for a moment, and they'll never do an Avera. And that is Shebachol Sipor HaMegillah. The whole story of the Megillah is called Bnei Yisrael B'Shem Yehudin. That's why the whole story of Megillah, the Jews are called Yehudim. As Chazal say, that anyone who's kaifer, but Avodah Zarah is called a Yehudi. So if you say that Avodah Zarah is no such thing, and you're kaifer, the kafir goes into the Avodah Zarah, then so again people say, oh, you're a kaifer. Yeah, I'm a kaifer, but Avodah Zarah. Then therefore you're called a Yehudi. What's the Yehudi? The Kavan, that the Inyan of the Ein Makom, Latos, Lachashov She'odenu Be-Yehudis. So when you're in the state of moided to Hashem, in the state of the Panim Saratzon, and there's no manner or any area which you're able to make a mistake and to think that he is not still in his Jewishness, because that's the Indian of that you're touching not only the Kleichas of Panemius, and touching the Panemius, and not only the Chitzonis Ratzon, but the Panemius and the Atzmus HaNefesh. So you're going to be on the Ratzon into the Atzmusov, and therefore Amdu, all the Jews, Nar V'Adzaka and Tafin Hashem, every Jew, young, old, women, children, in the Mesiras Nefesh of the whole year Kula, that the Jews were one with God and would never give up their oneness to God, even if they were to die for it. So therefore, every Jew for the whole year is stuck in this Mesiras Nefesh because they're touching that Panemius, and through this, and the Oifen and the Avodah of Mesiras Nefesh that is coming from the Panemius Haratzon, that's the Indian of Oineg, and this is the Bechinas of Eden Shebenefesh, that the Pu'ol Gam Kain Lamala, and this is so therefore the Jews who are in touch with this and are affecting this the whole year, then this gets a response above, because also in the Makom and the Darga of the Sha'or Hamanu Baruch Mordechai and B'Shavas, so when you're touching this area of where it's all the same, everything's the same, Chashecha, Oira, Tzadik, Rasha, Taiv, Ra, it's all the same. So even in that place, then there will be a Hamshacha Panemius Harotzon V'Chafetz Elyon. So when you have the Chitzoni Harotzon is everything's the same, but then you have this awakening of the Panemius Harotzon that is awoken from the Jews in touch with their Panemius Harotzon. And what is that Panemius Harotzon? That's the Chavetz V'Ma'asehim Shel Tzadikim Davka. Because only the Panemius Harotzon, then you get, God actually prefers mitzvahs. God actually prefers Tzadikim. And how does this work? It's that you're with your children and they do things and you hate them for it and you're upset and everything's going crazy, but a minute later you have rachamim on. A minute later, because the only reason you're upset for with them and you in that state of kaviyach, you don't like them, is because you want so much for them and you want them to be happy, you want them to be good people, and when they go against that, so therefore you lose your biscuits. But when it's coming to what do you really want? But they're your child, and therefore beyond everything, that's what you care about, and you don't want them to be in pain, and you don't want them to have issues, and therefore the Bnei Yisrael, who that being is brought out, even though is a level of din and the level of that was a bad thing you did, but the etzem and the pnimis rotzen is that these are my children, this is what I really want, and it goes beyond tam v'das and seichel, and therefore you have this area. In infinity there is no difference, but there's a thing called the pnimis rotzen. That pnimis rotzen, then no davka, I want the tzaddikim just like you want your children. And that is what Hashem says. Lo yeha eitz shekavar kadam Avraham or Moshe. So therefore Avraham and Moshe have already dealt with this eitz. That is through the avodah of the nation of the tree, because ha'adam eitzas hada, man is just a tree in the field, and that is the glalis of avodas adam. This is generally what man avodah is, in the oifen of that he is planting an eshel of Beersheva. So this is the avodas of man, planting trees in Beersheva, and the avodah is to bring down the elef of Anoichi, and that's the Indian panimis harotzim. And then the oifen of chayder behashin. So it's coming through the shin and the gimel kavim. That is all the midas. So there isn't in the mechinas of separate branches, but they're all coming down into one. Va'ad shenimshach lamata, it comes down into below through the lamed, and that's the inyan of the loimed min kol adam, that you're learning from everybody who's melamde hishgalti ad lenefesh habehemus, and it's coming down all the way through the nefesh seichel and into the nefesh habehemus, and as it is added in this through the Moshe is on the inside, and because of this, Yaakov is on the outside, and he brings the erez, he brings the cedar from Mitzrayim, which is the eshel, and after this, then is made from them a briach hatichon that is mavriach b'toch hakarashim, and it brings it's holding the whole Mishkan together, and through this there lo yeh, and therefore through all this avoda that happened beforehand, therefore when Haman is trying to touch this level of the eitz, well, it's already been hacked in before, and the ceremonies are even beyond this, that shepoila ma'inyan de lo yeh eitz b'oifen shel iskafcha, that the work and the manner that it won't be the eights of his hachba, that they will. So again, his pachba is where you're flipping it over. So this eights is for the tzaddik. So now we're going to use this eights for the rasha, and therefore they hang Haman on the eights asher that he prepared for Mordechai. And that's the hipuch, the kashem she tmuras hanachash b'rich nasas b'rich hatichon. That just like the nachash became for it was mehapech. You use the ra and you bring it into the holding together of the mishkan and not bittul. So therefore too, by Haman, the tree that he made for Mordechai was used for himself, and that's the hipuch she'alav miyasod hamishkan. So 11, and that is in the May of Purim, the days of Purim that are mentioned, and then you're done, and every generation there is the inyan of Simchas Purim in the manner that you're Hayav inish Lebesumei ad lo yada ben Arahamar lebarach Mordechai. So the mitzvah is coming down into Purim of every year, that you need to reach this point, but you Besumei, you get drunk, or you get perfumed, until you don't know between the cursedness of Haman and the blessing of Mordechai, because there's two inyanim that are completely opposite to each other, and that is that there is the inyan of the Oror Haman and the Baruch Mordechai, and that is the tachlis of the avodah, because Haman is Oror and Mordechai is Baruch, and the inyan there is bepoil through the Lebesumei b'Purim. It comes out through getting drunk in Purim until you don't know the difference between the two, and that is that you're reaching the level of Rotzim mitzad atzmo, so you're touching that level of Rotzim. Of Rotzon, that is beyond the Oror Haman and the Baruch Mordechai, and that is the Bechinas of Chamishim Amma. You reach the level of the 50th Amma, which you can't reach by yourself. You have to go outside of yourself, and there the Poilim to Muras Amor Lemelach V'Yitzle at Mordechai, and there when you're at that level, then you're getting the action that you say to the king that you should hang Mordechai the tzaddik, and then it will be as chavcha hashucha lenahira. And even in the place where there's no difference, there you have the hipoch of the chashecha lenahira, umeriro lemetikon, and the bitterness will become sweet because you will hang on that specifically Haman himself and the eights that he prepared for Mordechai, and the Mordechai will then go up before the melech and the levush malchus tachlos v'chor, and Mordechai will then have his victory and his parade because the tzidkus is being celebrated, and all the 6 inyanim that are in the pasuk, as it's explained in Torah, explaining that the 6 inyanim are referring to the 6 Sidrei Mishnah, and that is the inyan of Torah B'chlal. So Mordechai is coming out as the tzaddik in the Torah B'chlal and B'prat Torah Shebal Peh. That's the Mishnah. In Baal Peh, because the inyan is Gilei Rotzen Elin Lamata, because what is the Torah Baal Peh is that revelation of the Torah below, and through this it will be revealed also the Oine Ka'elyon. So you can touch with the Oile Negel, and therefore Nimshach Alidei Zeh the Simchas Purim, but Eifen Shali Yedim Ha'ita Oire V'Simcha. Therefore you have this revelation of the Simcha of Purim, of that the Jews Oire V'Simcha V'Sasan V'Yakar, and is bringing down to the Bnei Yisrael and below from the 10 Tefachim Kol Inyanim Da'ir Simcha V'Sasan V'Yakar, and everything is coming in the Hamshacha down below into the Jews. So B'Kitzer, Haman was looking to touch that area of the Chitzoni Haratzon, which is where Hashecha Ka'ira, there's no difference between anything. And that point, therefore, the fact that he's a Rosh, it doesn't matter. He can draw down from the highest points of God, bring that down and get that power, get that infinity going through him, and have the ability to start things down here against the tzaddikim, chas v'chalila, and he's touching that area of the Chitzoni Haratzon. But the Jews in the Mesiras Nefesh go beyond the Chitzoni Haratzon and then touch the Panimi Haratzon. And the Panimi Haratzon is that beyond infinity. Infinity, the idea that in infinity everything's the same. That's a seichel idea. But the Ratzon goes beyond that, and therefore God's Ratzon is that He wants Torah, He wants mitzvahs, He wants Jews. And therefore you're touching that point of the Panimius Haratzon, therefore Haman loses all his koyach and loses all his endeavors, and therefore through the Panimius Haratzon you're able to bring out the Hippoch, and they're bringing where it looks like everything's the same, and Haman and Rebbi Akiva and the Tzaddik and the Rosh, it's all the same, coming from that idea, and then you touch the Penimis Harotz and you're able to Hippoch, and then the Tzaddik is greater than the Rasha, and God wants mitzvahs and He doesn't want rishus. So while we're in the world of Hagabala and restrictions, then we're not able to touch that Penimis Harotzon, so through the Lebesumei Bepuria, so therefore we're able to touch that point that goes beyond and outside of our Kalim. That first we reach the level of Ad Lo Yada, that we touch the Chitzoni Harotzon, where there's no difference between good and bad. And then we bring that down to the Penimis Harotzon, and that the Tzaddik wins. Through the levels of Hippoch, that we then mehapech, and that's the Purim of Nehapochu.